Hey free-to-play gang, welcome back to another video. So we are taking a look at Crisis Trading again, and I currently have not really a free-to-play comp, but if you decide to go for Leora, then you will have a really good time for this particular run. Now let's take a look at the team and how I got 5.2 million, which will obviously be blown over by some other players. Like, I don't know, man, in just about like 3 or 4 hours time, I can imagine that some players in the game have like 7 million, 8 million or something like that. For sure. But for the time being, I'm currently ranked number 1 in my bracket, and in the world ranking, I'm ranked number 6. So I can just briefly see the top of my head over here, which is pretty awesome. I don't really get to see that all the time. Okay, so let's take a look at the team and how this works. So we will be using the trial Yuhime, and obviously if you have your own Yuhime and you have much better stats, this is going to perform a lot better. Now, the strategy that I will be using here is one that I have showcased very recently, which is the perpetual invulnerability of Yuhime, and that is what we can abuse in this particular fight. Now there are some experts here that are not needed at all. Sienna is not needed, she's just here for the attack buff. Clara is just here for the immunity buff. Embla is just here for some extra DPS. You can completely replace her with one of my Discord members is using Tangshan. Tangshan is dealing quite a lot of damage over here, especially when you have him at R2 minimally. Now, Leora is going to be very key here. Obviously, if you don't have Leora, you can use Catherine or any Esper who can provide standoff for your entire team, which is essentially just either Catherine or Leora right now, I think. So this is how it goes, right? We are going to push a lot of these essential buffs. We have the speed buff, we have the standoff, we have the attack buff, we have the immunity. All of that is going to go onto Yuhime, and Yuhime is just going to keep extending it just because of the Hell's Hand that she has. So yeah, without further ado, let's take a look at this run and how it works. Now, even though I say that this is like relatively free to play, the reason why I say it's relatively free to play is because you do not need resonances on most of these Espers. I mean, Embla is the only Esper here who needs to have R2. I mean, even her at R1 is still good enough, but if you want to have like the same kind of output as I have, then Embla needs to be R2. But aside from that, all the Espers here just need to be R0 and it's still going to be fine. Even if your Embla is at R0, you could potentially still get about, I don't know, maybe you can forgo about 300,000 more score or something like that, maybe like 4.8 easily, I think so. 4.8, 4.9, I think that's still very possible. Obviously, it depends on how good your equipment pieces are, but for the most part, Yuhime is completely free, right? She is, after all, the trial Esper here, and okay, we lost our Hell's Hand stacks, rip. That normally don't happen all that much, but we're gonna get it back, and we don't really need it right now. It's not super important right now, but we just need to make sure that we have the standoff on her and she's able to perpetuate the standoff buff on herself. That's all we really care about. So if it doesn't work out, we can always just rerun this and just like make sure that Leora gets the standoff on her and that she's able to perpetuate the standoff buff. That's all. Now, one potential issue with this lineup is that by using Sienna, you're actually eating a lot of turns, because take note that we have a 150 turn limit here. So if you are somehow able to survive so well, that could be an issue. So Sienna might eat a lot of your turns. So for example, when I wasn't using Leora, I was testing out like Nusi, for example. I ate so many turns. I ate like 150 turns just because we just keep cycling turns, and a lot of my supports just keep getting the turns where I would prefer that they don't. So that's one issue. But for this setup, I think it's completely fine that oh my god, shit. So I'm losing my train of thought over here. It's completely fine that we eat a lot of turns because we're not going to eat up 150 turns. That is the goal of this team. And okay, one more thing about Leora is that she's able to strip all the buffs on the boss on her third skill, which cannot be resisted as well. So that's another good reason for using Leora in this case. Come on, Hell's Hand, and oh my god, okay, rip. Okay, so that is a problem. When the boss gets 3 stacks of like all 3 of his buffs, all 3 of his unique buffs, he's going to use an attack that strips off all the buffs on your team, which means Yuhime is going to lose her standoff as well. And if Yuhime loses standoff, then obviously she's going to die in like just 1 hit, something like that. So we can actually just do this again and just keep rerunning this until we get like a much nicer score. So, and yeah, enjoy. Okay, so we are definitely lacking a little bit in this run. We had 4.5 million, which is not a vast improvement from the previous run. But like I said, it really all just falls into RNG. And as you can see, she is dealing decent DPS. Now, obviously, as comparison to Embla, she's not going to perform as well, but she's still pretty solid, and this is definitely a strategy that you can try to employ, and hopefully it works well for you. But with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed today's content. If you did, don't forget to give a thumbs up, it really helps the channel, and subscribe for more Dislyte content. Now, with that said, this has been Free to Play, and as always, I will see you in the next video.